Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Mia for her 8th interview in her Years of Growth series. Welcome, Mia.
Nice to be here, Cassie, as always.
Super excited to talk to you as always. And first, I want to know, how has your future self been showing up?
As an inspired financial wizard, just doing extremely well with both ups and downs in my trading. And it really reflects everywhere in my life.
Oh, I love it. And I did notice you've added inspired in financial wizard.
Yeah.
And so I would love to, what made you say, no, I don't want to just be a financial wizard. I want to be an inspired financial wizard. That's what I'm going to step into.
Yeah, it's been interesting because the last couple of weeks I've had some losing trades, and it's real easy to just have the air come out of the balloon and lose all inspiration. And there is stuff there to pick up if you can keep your inspiration and keep your trust together. There's a window to notice things, to learn things about yourself, about more things about how the market works. And it just allows that inspiration to look a little deeper. That's inspired by the trust that you have, builds the trust even further. And it's just been so helpful for me because it's kept me in the market. And it's a really good. I mean, it's very positive. I can't ever imagine talking about 2 losing weeks being very positive, but it has been. So, and it's all about inspiration and trust in the whole process. So, and it reflects on all the rest of my life as well, because it's just, it's everything is a model for something else, microcosm for the macrocosm. And it's everywhere if you notice.
Yes. Oh, I love that. So I want to back up because we're definitely going to touch on this trust and inspiration,
Right.
and a little more about this inspired financial wizard, which I love. So I want to talk first about the amazing trade you had while you were with your client.
Yeah, I had been spending the morning doing some trading, and I thought I might need to adjust a trade. In other words, add another trade to kind of make it a little bit more robust and get it through, a market situation. And so I have done this before where I set it up as a trade to go on, but I put in a price that it would never, ever, ever fill at, so that I can just come in on my phone later when I'm, away from my computer and change the price and get it if I need to, if the market's moved where it might need to move. And, so if it doesn't, no big deal. You take it off and blah, blah. So anyway, I have to leave for a tasting with my client, a meeting where we're going to be tasting wines that we've made over the past 2 vintages. And then we're going to leave after that to take a vineyard tour with another consultant to look at his vineyard. So we're sitting there and tasting and so on and so forth. And I hear on my phone some alerts go off that some trades have come. And I'm thinking, oh, good, my trades come off and I made my profit, and I take a quick look at my phone and it's not come off for its profit. The adjusting trade that I had set at a very, very low price has actually filled at that price. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Wow. And meanwhile, I'm looking just to see where the market is, and it's obviously going crazy. Well, I don't worry about it too much. I know I'm going to be able to deal with that. I'm either going to be able to deal with it before market close today or tomorrow. Maybe I'll take a small loss, but I'm here with a client that I love, tasting wines that I've made from his property. And we are having a very good meeting. We finish our tasting. He says, would you like to see my pictures from Utah? He takes these amazing trips to places that are not your normal places with guides and everything, and takes these beautiful pictures, has them bound in these books. They're just gorgeous. And so we go and we look through. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I would never think I would want to go to Utah before I saw these pictures. They're just gorgeous. And it's a whole book. We spend 20 minutes going through it and talking about the weather that was there and what the trip was like, who came with him, how his boots did while he was walking through the water. Okay, we get through it. And then, all right, he says, I'm going to go down a little early to the meeting so I can see the GM down at the office down there. We were at his house. And I say, okay. So we both head down. I'm in my truck and I realize, hey, I've got about a half hour before the meeting starts and the next meeting and a half hour before the market closes. Let's just see what's going on with that trade. And I go and I look and it's, oh my God, it is profitable. How did this happen? So the market went one way to fill the trade, and now it's gone completely the other way in about 40 minutes. And so, boom, I go in, I put the trade in on my phone. I'm doing it in 2 accounts. I got to do it a couple of times. It doesn't clear, and it clears. I made off of this one trade in each of my accounts. I made like $1,250 in 40 minutes. It was like
awesome.
It was like 25% profit. Normally, I go for about 6% in and out pretty quickly. It was incredible. I didn't even know how much money I made. I just know, hey, I made a little profit. This is so cool, you know? And when I got home and I was able to check, it's like, oh, are you kidding me? That's how much money I made? And it was just this wonderful feeling because I was not worried about it one bit. I knew I was going to be able to deal with it. I knew it was, I had no expectation that I was going to be profitable. I thought, hey, I'm going to be able to get out of this for a little loss. You know, wow, I can't even believe that this even happened. And then I couldn't believe that I was able to get it off for a profit. And then I couldn't believe how big a profit I made. And it just was like, yes, this is the way it happens. This is the way it happens. Everything together, just being present at the meeting, both the professional part of it and the more just social part of it, feeling good with my client, one of my clients that I really love, and being able to, you know, deal with this whole situation, you know. And since then, my lesson that I've learned is I don't put the trade in at a low price. First, I put it in and then I cancel it, because on my phone, I can pull up my canceled trades and just put them back in. So it will never happen like that again, because I can't count on that kind of, you can count on that kind of luck always. But
right.
Man, it was, you know, talk about something that's a big wake up call about how trust really works. It was, I could have never imagined anything like it.
That's amazing. So many LOA lessons there, like trusting, right? Trusting that even when we have an intention to do something, because the overall intention that you have is to welcome more money into your life. You're a inspired financial wizard. So you follow inspiration and you're a financial wizard. You have that, you have both the smarts to back it up and the wizardry of the magic and following the inspiration and using your intuition. And so that's the overarching thing. And so when things like this happen, like, oops, that wasn't, maybe I didn't mean that to happen, but everything is in alignment with that. And it's also in alignment with teaching you. I love that you brought up the lesson. Like, now I know this is how I do it when I'm away. Right. And we know that's going to come up, you know, soon in one of these interviews pretty soon. You'll be like, oh yeah, this is how I, you know, handled that when I was away. And it's because you learned that lesson right now. So I love all that.
Yeah, it's great. It reminds me of your story too, that you told a long time ago, that was very inspiring to me, about your flat tire. And you know, how everything just worked out to get the tire fixed. It didn't upset any of your plans, your fun, your anything. And that whole thing, it is about trust a lot, but it's also about leaving old stories behind about how, you know, you might have gotten on yourself about, oh, I had however many days to fix that tire and I didn't. And now look what's happened. Now I'm trying to leave and I don't have, and the tire's obviously leaking. and I need to get it fixed. And I could have done the same thing, and it would have been old Mia. Oh man, are you kidding me? How could this happen? Oh man, that was sure dumb. God, oh man, what, and instead just trusting that it's going to come out, like I said, I had no idea that I would be able to, the way that the market moved was absolutely crazy that day, just for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
It would never happen that way. But I was sure I could get out of it for just a small loss at some point later that
Right.
day or the next day. And I never kicked myself once. And that's the difference, because that's what allows all of the rest of the LOA stuff to come, the trust, the inspiration, and just being able to move right on, I'd be the person kicking myself down the road.
That's so good. Yeah. And I love, it's so true what you said. It's not kicking yourself, not beating yourself up is exactly what allows the rest of the LOA work to work. But if in the middle of it, you jump right back into that old version of yourself, like it messes with what comes after, right? It doesn't allow everything to unfold beautifully because you've stepped back into this old story, almost this old, path probability. If we're looking from a science way, you stand there and you're going to get the old outcome, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every time.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit. I, of course, loved this statement when I heard you say it the other day, but trust and inspiration are magic. So let's talk a little bit about those. Tell us what that means to you.
To me, what that means is, there are times when things don't go right. And certainly that happens in trading. I had a really good run of trading. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had two weeks of, not so good trading, losing a little bit of money. And for me, both the trust and the inspiration come together again, because you have to trust that things are going to turn your way again at some point, but you also have to be inspired to look deeper and see what was going on. Not necessarily about any mistakes, that I made. That's, not to say that I never make mistakes, but how did the market work that week, and what was going on, and what happened? Why did it happen this way? What went on? And there was a whole window where a shade just basically got raised for me, connecting some dots from stuff that I'd been reading and paying attention to have a completely new look, a deeper look at what makes these things move. I trade options basically, and options are basically insurance. And I read an article recently about stocks being really about supply and demand. What makes the market goes up is when demand for stocks goes up. So everybody wants to buy, and there's only so many stocks, so the price has to go up. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When people are a little bit more nervous, they want insurance, and that's when people buy a lot of options, hedge funds, whatever, what have you. So it really is about the differing supply and demand. And if you can allow the feeling of the market to come through a little bit, you can see which way it leans, and maybe change your trading a little bit to kind of goose what you think might come on. And it's another inspiration that comes. I oftentimes would tell people a story in the wine business. If you're an old time Saturday night viewer, there's a great character on there, Father Guido Sarducci. One of my favorites of his was he had what he called the 5-minute university. 5 minutes and you've got your university degree. Spanish? ¿Cómo está usted? Muy bien. You pass. Woo! 5-minute university. And he said economics and business, supply and demand. And wow, the simplicity of that, but yet the depth of it is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely incredible. It's served me well with a lot of things, but my losing couple of weeks of trading and the inspiration and the trust that I have that things are going to turn out well have taken me to a new level, of just being able to intuit and sense a little bit better what's going on. And it's extremely important, and it applies to everything, not just trading, not just money, but it's just everything is that way. If you trust and you have that inspiration and you can take that shade off that next window to see that whole next thing that's waiting for you there, it's just the rest of your life just opens up, and it just feels so good, and it's weird to say it feels so good when you're losing,
Right. I get it. I totally get it, because
But as I told you, I mean,
moments.
I had my first winning trade come off this week as well, and it looks like another trade is going to go my way, and it's like, that's the way it is. If you're going to be a trader, well, you have to trade. You might trade a little smaller, you might trade a little differently, and you need to be able to see as well as you can what's going on. But you can't say I'm not going to trade.
Right. Yeah, because then you're not a trader.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so much good stuff in what you said. So one of the things I want to highlight, especially for listeners, is that there's no, we talked a little bit about not getting into the old, like leaving your old stories behind, of um, basically berating yourself is a lot of what it comes to in situations like this. And I just want to highlight, like, there's only room for one, right? Like because you've left the old stories behind, you have space and time and room in your brain to go deeper and to understand the market deeper and to follow these nudges, and then kind of like learn a little bit more about why that's right and how to even increase your intuition based on what you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And letting go of the old, that's the only way. You and I have talked about this a number of times. It's the old martial arts Aikido story. You got to open the door if you want somebody to come in.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you use the term like feeling of the market, right? Like opening to feel, not think about, right? Even though a lot of what you do is based on analysis, what you're really saying is, I'm going to go and analyze things and I'm going to learn, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to make choices based on like my feelings and my inspiration and my intuition about what day is today and how is this going to go and where's the magic I can tap into in the market today.
Yeah, and options are very complicated, and I have an incredible platform that gives me all these Greeks. There's these very complicated, calculations for determining option prices. But when the market, moves, when traders change what they're doing, I can tell you that all of my trades in the 2 weeks that I lost, all my Greeks, they call them, Delta, Gamma, Theta, Vega, they all looked great. I should have been doing just fine, but I was losing money, and
Yeah.
so,
So there's something else.
the whole calculation part is great, and it does give you, an idea of where you sit.
Yeah.
But it isn't the end all. The end all
Right.
is what are the other traders doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing? That's the important thing. Why they're doing it, it could be a whole number of reasons. What are they doing? And that's that's the key. So yeah, that whole getting into the feeling of it, very, very important. Not to say that you don't look at numbers, but it's the same thing with winemaking. I'm a winemaker, and we have a lot of numbers we look at, but there's a lot of other things. There's a lot of other things that go on, your acid and your alcohol and your phenolics and your color and all this stuff. Yes, they do mean something, but they aren't the end all,
Yeah.
how's the wine taste? That's it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that's what matters. And I think it's a good reminder of like, I mean, and it's so LOA. It's like, what do we want? Right? Then the hows don't
Absolutely. Yeah.
matter, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you want? Good tasting wine. Okay. Like those other things are in some ways hows. They give you information and they might have some inspiration, but it's really being in that space of what do we really want, you know?
Yeah, what I tell people a lot is you have to take that whole human factor into consideration, which is, as human beings, we are the best integrators of so much information. We can integrate so many things, and anything that you get a number from, that's looking at one thing at a time, one thing at a
Right.
time, one thing at a time. And even if you put several of those one thing at a times together, that's not going to equal what a human being with good insight and intuition can see. It just won't
Yes.
happen.
I love it. I was just making a note of that. Um, numbers are no measures for human beings and what they bring to the table.
Right.
I love it. Um, looking back, I'm just curious about this. I didn't tell you I was going to ask the question, but how did what you learned and the foundation you built and explored in Manifest 10K, how do you see those lessons coming back or supporting you in growing more and more money?
I still have my money trust handbook. I mean, I look at it from time to time because it really, my money handbook was about trust muscle, and I still look at that. I hear things all the time on your podcast that make me go back to the lessons of Manifest 10K and where I was and what I learned. And but I take it to a whole another level of understanding. I mean, it's just like that same thing. Another shade goes up on the window, and you think you're seeing the full vista, but you aren't yet. There's
Right.
still lots and lots of stuff from the really it's a lot like, I mean, I'll go back to Aikido. You learn the basics at the very beginning, and
Mm-hmm.
every complicated thing is based from those basics. And it's like Cassie asks you, how do you want to feel? you know what how do you want to feel? Not how are you going to get there? How do you want to feel? And that is so important. And the more often I catch myself every now and then getting into a complete how of a situation and forgetting how do I want to feel. That was one of the big things that helped me come back from, help me be able to be inspired and trust the situation when I wasn't winning. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
And I can still feel that way. I can still feel happy and be losing on my trades. I can still feel happy. I can find ways to do that. Some of which have to do with learning lessons in the market, and some of which just have to do with life in general. So yeah, I go back to it all the time, and on the calls too, when somebody who's relatively new comes in and they're talking about a difficulty that they might be having with one of the lessons, and you just go right back to it and say, oh yeah, well, just wait till you get through this one, because it's going to be very valuable for you. So it's always good to have those reminders,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a depth there
Yeah.
and a bigger clarification that's always available.
I love that. Um, and it's so true. And it goes back to even, we're talking about Saturday Night Live, and economics is like supply and demand. Like becoming your future self is really like, what's the life you want to be living? Like start stepping into that, like is the basics, and everything is that just going deeper and deeper and deeper into that.
That's I mean, that's the basic. I mean, it's very simple, but it takes um, constant working with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And so, It's another question I wasn't planning on asking, but I'm gonna ask it. You signed up for to be in the Enchanted Circle for 5 more years and beyond. And so is it because is one of the reasons you shared with me in a separate recording before this, but I'm just curious, is it because you get like there's always going to be more depth and more depth and more depth?
Absolutely. I mean, the people who are close around me, they know when I miss a call. If
Yeah.
for some reason I miss a call, if I haven't listened to the podcast, and I know it myself, I start, digging a little, how am I going to do this whole for myself? Or, God, this doesn't feel good, or blah, blah, what's going wrong? So it's so valuable to just get reminded, get clarification, get that new, bigger view
Yeah.
of what the universe is, what's really good about the universe, what is coming your way. It's completely valuable. My wife Tracy has alarms that go off on her phone like an hour before, especially the Monday call. It's like, all right, well, we're going to skip breakfast, but you're going to be on that call. I say, yeah, I know, I'm going to, yeah. Well, we better hurry and walk the dogs in, and that kind of thing. I'm not kidding.
I love it.
She won't let me out. At least one call a week. So, and it's just important.
Yeah.
And so it didn't even occur to me, not to. It
Yeah.
really, it took me like less than 24 hours to say, okay.
Yeah. I love it. It's so awesome. And I love that we're able to now also with a big group of you who've been here for a while, a year and a half plus, get into this, like the depth part. Cause it's really, I just love the parts where we get to go deeper and deeper and we get to see it on a whole new level. So it's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks for being here. And thanks for sharing that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is really awesome.
Very cool. So now that you had really on the winnings, you had some lessons and some not as much winnings, and we know you're coming off a win today and probably another win tomorrow. Like, what are you excited about having more like this, I don't know, fuller experience? What are you excited about trading in the next month to 6 weeks?
Oh God, so the one of the things for me is I can get into the how, and I can say, if I put this many contracts on of this kind of trade and I make my X percent, I can make this much every week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is way too in the how, way too much the wrong way to do it, and I kind of was increasing, my winnings every week there for like, God, probably it was like 12 weeks. It just kept going up and up and up and up. And so I started to like, calculate, what, and it's just, you don't do that. You just
Right.
don't do that, and so one of my trades, I've been, doing a little over $3,000 a week, and one of, in both of two accounts. And, my trade came off today, $720 for both accounts. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
And, that whole thing of making it exciting again, even for a smaller size trade or just one of the trades coming off, that excitement is part of what I like. I mean, I like the winning. And again, going back to the Manifest 10K, it's about finding pennies, just like it's about, the $100 that comes your way from somewhere, the extra $1,000 that comes your way from somewhere. It's awesome, and that is, definitely one of the big lessons. But it was definitely starting to screw around a little bit with the how, and the numbers and the this and the that, and it has to be bigger than last week, and it has to be, no, it has to be the right size for what's going on. And anything is awesome, any winning is awesome. And that's, for me, that's part of what makes me happy. I'm a competitive person. I've been kind of in sports my whole life, and winning is great. And you don't get to win all the time, but you have to see where you're winning. It's
Yes.
an improvement. If it's a little bit of this, if it's, just had a better this or a better that, it's, there isn't this absolute end game, that, so it's fun again. And that's what I'm looking forward to over the next time. Cause it's fun even when I'm losing, because I'm scratching my head and I'm going, okay, well, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is happening? And how can I play this better?
That's awesome. I'm so excited to hear about your trades in our next interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because the journey's fun, right? And learning
Yeah.
and all of that. And so it's gonna be even better next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing this moment of your journey with us. I really appreciate it.
It's wonderful to be a part of this podcast, Cassie.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to come back and check out what is exciting and awesome with Mia's life next time in her next interview.
Thank you for joining us on The More Money Show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.